So today, I don't say this lightly, New Jersey reminds the nation that our democracy is made stronger when we make it easier for the people's voices to be heard. That our democracy wins when we open the doors of our polling places wide instead of slamming them shut. The law that I'm signing in a few minutes today, allowing in-person machine voting in our regular polling places, will enhance our residents' right to vote. This follows our successes working with the legislature in implementing both one of the nation's strongest automatic voter registration laws and online voter registration, our work to restore the right to vote to tens of thousands of residents on probation or parole, and a prohibition on using incarcerated residents in legislative redistricting. Not just for Stacey's benefit, which she knows all too well, but for all of ours as a reminder, I cannot overlook that this early voting bill passed our legislature the same day that the governor of Georgia was signing a law restricting the rights of Georgians to vote, even making it a crime to give a voter waiting in line a bottle of water. It is incredulous that the response to those who claimed that last year's presidential election was rigged against all evidence to the contrary are now doing their damnedest to openly and unapologetically to rig elections by suppressing voter rights. They couldn't prove the big lie in any court of law, so instead they're writing the big lie into law. In Georgia, again, as Stacey knows better than the rest of us, is only the most visible example. But other governors and other state legislators in places like Arizona, Texas, Florida, even across the Delaware and Pennsylvania, not the governor in that case, but the legislature, among dozens of other states, are considering new ways to suppress one of the most fundamental rights of citizenship. They claim to love our Constitution, but only if they get to define who the we is in We the People. Amazingly, right here, some members of the New Jersey legislature have introduced bills to restrict the voting rights of our residents. Let me be perfectly clear. Through the work of everyone here, among so many others, these bills will go nowhere except into the nearest recycling can. The bills that move forward must only be those that further the right to vote. By example, for allowing for same-day on-site registration and voting, or allowing 17-year-olds to register and vote in our primaries if they turn 18 by the general election. I got one of those in my household by my dad. If there's one thing I know about Stacey Abrams, it's that adversity only makes her work harder. I know that she and Fair Fight are going to do everything to see that these attempts to undermine our American values are not only defeated, but that these new voter suppression laws are erased. And we need Congress to step up as well and to pass the John Lewis Voting Rights Act at the federal level to reassert the American value that every vote is sacred and every voter's right to cast that vote must be protected. And meanwhile, on behalf of all of us working hard, including our leaders in both the legislature and advocacy groups, our cabinet, everyone else who stands with us, New Jersey will proudly show the path forward. I spoke to Stacey literally the day after she was so instrumental in winning, and we won both of those Senate races in Georgia. And I said, Stacey, I think the timing on the legislature is that they're going to move early voting this year, and I wonder if you'd be willing to join us virtually, because I assumed it was still going to be virtual when we signed that bill. And she hit the bid, as they say, immediately. She said, absolutely. We've gotten to know each other over the past number of years. We were supporters and huge fans when she ran for governor. And think of how different Georgia would be had she won. And I cannot thank her enough again for everything she does, including for spending a few minutes with us today. I know she's going to jump after she says a few remarks, but please help me welcome a crusader, a hero, and a dear friend of so many of us in the great state of New Jersey, the one and only Stacey Abrams.
Thank you so much, Governor Murphy. Thank you not only for this invitation, but thank you for your leadership on voting rights. As you mentioned, New Jersey has been leading the way with automatic voter registration, with having the foresight and the humility to understand that redemption for those who've come out of our prisons and jails must include a reintroduction into the full measure of citizenship. As someone who's not only fought for voting rights, but has been working hard on the census, your actions taken to address prison gerrymandering are crucial, because we cannot build a stronger society if we do not include the needs of every person. And that's the fundamental premise of democracy. Not that we get everything we want, but that we deserve to have a say in the direction of our nation, in the direction of our states, and in the direction of our communities. And when democracy is undermined by laws that we have seen passed, not only in Georgia, but in Iowa, and laws that are under consideration in Arizona, in Texas, in New Hampshire, in Florida, in 43 states across this country, we are seeing an onslaught, an attack on democracy. And there was one Arizona representative who actually explained it. Essentially, he said that they don't want every vote to count. They don't believe that quantity matters, that it's about the quality of the vote. Well, my question is, how do you qualify the utility of a vote? I believe that citizenship in the United States of America is a premise that we must stand on, and it says that we have the right to be heard. We are going to lose some of the elections we want to win, and we're going to win some of the elections we never thought could be true. But we are always, always as a nation stronger when every voice is included. And that is why this work is so critical. In-person early voting says to Americans who have to work on a schedule that isn't based on an agrarian economy from the 18th century that their voices matter. It says to that mom working that third shift that if she can get some time off to go and cast her ballot, she might be able to move herself out of minimum wage into a full-time job that pays her enough to live a good life for her and her family. It says to that person who is a frontline worker who doesn't know when they're going to be on call, that if they can cast their ballot, there may be relief on the other side. In-person early voting is one more vestige of a country that believes in the democracy it espouses, but more importantly, that believes in the people that it shelters. You see, what we saw on January 5th in Georgia was the election of the first African-American and the first Jewish senator from the state of Georgia. And yet what we saw on January 6th was intended to be a repudiation of an election, a repudiation of an entire system. And we did not let that domestic terrorism work then, and we should not let it work now. And I am so excited to be looking at New Jersey, knowing that New Jersey is taking us in the right direction. But my eyes will never leave Georgia, will never leave the states that still need this type of leadership and this type of support. Because anytime you have a governor willing to win elections by stealing the voices of their people, they do not deserve to hold those jobs. But it's up to us, the voters of America, to stand together, whether we're in Georgia, in Texas, or in New Jersey, to say that we are one nation under God, and that we are one nation whose democracy should not depend on our geography. And so to Governor Murphy, to the state legislature, to the Secretary of State, and to all the allies who made this possible, you have my heartiest, not only congratulations, but you have my gratitude, because you are showing the way to a better democracy and a better future for us all. Thank you so much.
Stacey, bless you. Before you go, I repeat what I said to you privately. When I sign the bill, you're going to get an official Phil Murphy New Jersey pen. We will sanitize it and send it down to you. Thank you for everything. You know what's a shocking reminder? You and I, when I referenced that phone call after we won the 2 seats in Georgia, you and I spoke the morning of January 6th.
Good.
Before all hell broke loose a few hours later. Just extraordinary, the juxtaposition of that call between those two extraordinary victories and the hell that rained down on the Capitol only a few hours later. I know you got to go. Thank you so much. We look forward, once we start doing things in person, we have the red carpet out for you. We'd love to have you back up in Jersey. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay strong, and thank you for all you do.